Florida Governor Ron DeSantis headed to New Hampshire today, expected to officially throw his hat in the ring for president next week. DeSantis would join an increasingly crowded GOP primary field with candidates like former President Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. But the governor does not seem to be sweating the competition, reportedly telling donors, quote, "Two have a chance to get elected president, Biden and me, based on all the data in the swing states, which is not great for the former president. People aren't going to change their view of him." Interesting. Meantime, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott also expected to officially announce his run on Monday, and others could throw their hat in the race as well. Former Republican New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum also reportedly considering presidential runs. Democrats also making big moves, with candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. hiring former Ohio Congressman Dennis Kucinich as his campaign manager. That's interesting.
And the Biden-Harris campaign is laying out their blueprint for 2024, previewing new tactics and touting past achievements in a memo called The Road to Victory.
Quote, President Joe Biden has shown he can deliver historic results for the American people, including helping create over 12 million jobs, leading a manufacturing boom, and lowering health care premiums and prescription drug costs. Karoline Leavitt, a spokeswoman for Make America Great Again, Inc., and she joins us now. Karoline, great to see you as always. Your take on that victory lap that, contains a few falsehoods.
Yeah, that memo is really something. Whoever wrote it, the Biden campaign team, is like all of the Biden team, right? They are willfully ignorant, or they are willfully lying. This memo was not based on reality. They say they're creating jobs and cutting costs. Biden immediately killed jobs in our nation's most important sector, our energy industry. We are seeing mass layoffs across big industries such as tech and cutting costs. 61% of Americans right now say that Biden's record high inflation is significantly impacting their households. That is the dire reality that the American people are living in because of the policies of Joe Biden. But this memo also left out some of the most important numbers for his reelection campaign. That 68% of the American people disapprove of his policies. The majority of Americans don't think he has the mental fitness to be president. And more than 70% of Americans don't even want to see him running again. Also, one of his main Democrat challengers right now, RFK Jr., is polling better than any Republican in the primary against former President Donald Trump. That's why I'm very confident Donald Trump will take back the White House in 2024.
Yeah, the 12 million jobs created really got me. Todd and I were talking, and I mean, it's like he said, those are just COVID jobs that came back, so I'm not quite sure how they can claim that. But I want to talk about some of the states that the Biden campaign is going to focus on. It's Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Florida, and North Carolina. I mean, I know Florida's a big get for any presidential candidate, but my gosh, DeSantis swept Florida in the governor's race. So what do you make of the focus on those states?
Well, the focus on, it's funny he brings up those states, right? Because it's Democrat-run states where the Biden administration's heavy hand from the federal government and then Democrat leadership at the state and local level has really hurt Americans. That's why you've seen them flee to red states like my home state of New Hampshire, where Democrats are trying to take control of power. So the American people recognize that Democrats' policies, like Joe Biden's, do not work. And the contrast between life in red America, Donald Trump's America, and Joe Biden's America couldn't be more clear when it comes to not only our economy and the loss of jobs and the increase in inflation we've seen, but also law and order, where lawlessness is just wreaking havoc across this nation, especially in those Democrat-run states and cities. And so Republicans and President Trump will continue to make the clear contrast between what life in his administration was like and life in Joe Biden's America. Couldn't be more different.
Biden's campaign manager says the Democratic Party is more united under Biden. I don't know if that's the case, but nevertheless, here's their plan for 2024. Quote, we'll engage early and often with traditionally supportive voters, particularly women voters, young voters, black voters, and Latino voters, and Asian American and Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander voters who voted in 2020. That's a run-on sentence, Biden. But skip the midterms. It added organized labor, which has seen a resurgence in the last few years, will be core to our electoral successes. I mean, I look at that statement. I don't see a lot of shockers in there. My question for you, Karoline, how do Republicans respond?
The Democrats love identity politics, right? They like to put Americans into these box and bubbles and say, we're going to get this demographic based on race or gender. When in reality, Republicans, we are focused on uplifting all Americans, regardless of race, religion, or creed. When I was working in the White House, unemployment was low. It didn't matter what color your skin was or what gender you were. It was historically low for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and those voting blocks made historic gains for President Trump in the last two presidential election cycles. They are increasingly swinging in his favor, in favor of Republicans. And that's why I believe Joe Biden has this wide open southern border right now, because the Democrat Party realizes they are losing ground with the American people. So they need a new voting bloc. That's why they've allowed more than 6 million illegal aliens into our country over the last 18 months.
Karoline Leavitt, got to leave it there. That's a horrible dad joke. It's a Friday. It's what you'd expect from me.